I try to do all of the things. It can be incredibly stressful to just immerse yourself into so many different activities in life. It can really take a toll on your kind of mental health, but just your life and quality of life, because when you have a lot of things filling your schedule, it can be overwhelming sometimes. But it can also be incredibly rewarding because you get to wake up every day and have new challenges, new exciting things that you can work on, and things that kind of stimulate you in a new and different ways than anything else you've kind of done in the past. So every day becomes a new adventure. This means that you have to do a lot, or at least I have to do a lot, to kind of find a good balance point between embracing those new opportunities as they arrive and maybe not saying no, because I hate saying no to new opportunities, but finding a way of shifting those new opportunities into opportunities for others to develop their own careers and have chances of doing something fun and amazing. So I've taken that approach recently, trying to find ways of focusing my energy on the things that I really care about, understanding what it is that I really care about, and then as these new opportunities come to me, finding ways of giving those opportunities over to other people who could really take advantage of them. But I've always been like that. I've always had this sort of mentality that I want to try as many different things as possible. When I was in school, my course schedule was probably had some of the most diverse classes that you can possibly imagine. I mean, there were the classes that you kind of had to take as part of your program. Then there was like the optional classes that you could take or that you could choose from. And if it was like, you can choose one of these 3 classes, I was like, okay, I'll take all 3 of them. And then, I'd have even more credits on my course schedule. And then if there was an option to do like an elective of any class in another program or in another faculty, I would find all of these crazy classes that I could just tackle and immerse myself in. And it brought me so much joy. So in my undergraduate degree, I've taken everything from classes in music and art history and drama to psychology, computer science, business, leadership. I mean, it's really spanned a huge diversity of fields. So I have a very broad spectrum of knowledge that I can draw from in my undergraduate career and in my graduate career. During this time that I was studying, I also thought it was really important, both because I needed money and because getting a diverse set of work experiences, I thought it was important to take whatever jobs were available to me. And so I really did a lot to seek out new jobs, new opportunities for employment, and then as new opportunities of employment came available to me, jump on them as they occurred. So one of the things I was doing, my music teacher at my university had there was donated to the university thousands of volumes of sheet music dating back to 1920s, I think, maybe even earlier than that, I can't recall. And so they had all this sheet music in the basement of the university, one of the university buildings, and she asked me if I would be willing to catalog all of it and create a database for it. And I said, oh my gosh, that sounds like so much fun, I am in. And so I cataloged, organized it all according to the library system, and created a database, and then we turned it all over to the library at the end of the day. And it was one of the most fun and engaging jobs I'd ever had. Now that's, just one example. I've worked as a cashier at a gas station. I've worked as a cook at a restaurant, a server at a restaurant. I've worked as a mechanic in a auto shop where I installed hitches. That was my job, was to install hitches on vehicles. I worked at a construction company that built houses, and so I framed houses for a little while. I've taught music lessons. I have an incredible array of working experiences that now in retrospect, I can look back on as a opportunity to develop a more diverse array of skills and to develop a work ethic that translates into a number of different fields. So these two combinations, being willing and interested in multiple different fields in my schoolwork, like wanting to take as many classes as I possibly can. When I was in high school, actually, we had choices of going two different trajectories. One was what they called more of a college prep trajectory, where you would take a lot of science courses, a lot of math courses in the kind of effort to prepare you to go to university. The other was the vocational, technical trajectory, where you would learn a specific vocation with the idea that you would then go immediately out into work. And I wasn't really satisfied with either option because I really wanted to do both. And so I went the vocational trajectory because that was the only way that I could do that. And then I studied the college preparatory version of things in my spare time. So that became kind of like a side project almost. It was an independent study. So with all of that, I managed somehow to have both an opportunity to study at university as well as get a job right out of high school, which I did. And that was one of the other jobs I've worked at, is a electronics manufacturing company where I built circuit boards for everything from stadium lights and stadiums to GPS systems, motherboards for computers, and a whole host of other things I can't even remember. So I spent 8 hours a day doing that, operating the machines, programming the machines that placed all the parts and things like that. So yeah, these experiences are incredibly, incredibly diverse. And going through them, there was never a point in time where I was like, oh yeah, all of this one day will add up. It didn't really occur to me as needing to add up. It was just, as these opportunities emerged, I embraced them because I found my inner sense of creativity and motivation and kind of energy moving in that direction. And so I just said, hey, you know what? This is awesome. Let's do it. Let's try it. And of course, school in the United States, you have to pay for it. So it's not like it didn't come without a bill. It came with a very large bill. But it did give me that chance to diversify my interests and to engage in a whole bunch of different ways of thinking and doing things. And it gave me an advantage, I think, in my career, because when I started to advance into the middle of my career, and even now in my, I'm not late in my career, but I'm getting there. Even now, I can look back on those different experiences and kind of trace some of the professional development opportunities that have come out of that. So I worked in corporate finance for a few years, and so I can see from that work in corporate finance how I've developed certain business skills, communication skills, leadership skills that have come out of that, just role modeling my colleagues, but then also understanding some of the mechanisms behind what I was doing. The work that I did as a music teacher led me to become, hopefully, a better teacher today. So even though I was teaching music lessons, 20 years ago, I'm now today able to kind of look back and see that there was a trajectory there that I was on. There was a path that I was on. And only just recently am I able to start tethering that path. Am I able to start understanding the connections between those parallel trajectories. So I think this has been a real big advantage in my career. Now, it comes with the huge caveat here that because I kind of jumped around and across multiple fields, my professional development took much, much longer than someone who would just go to university for a single subject, graduate, get a job, and work in that job. So somebody who just went to university and got one bachelor's degree, say, and who started at the same time I would have started at, they would have started their career about 10, maybe even 15 years before I kind of, quote unquote, started my career. So my career as an academic started back in 2011-ish, so about 10 years ago. If somebody graduated college right after they got out of high school, go to college, graduate, get a job, they would have had a 10-year lead on me by the time we are where we are today. And so My career took a little while to begin to accelerate. It took a long time to get to where it is today. But the path between when I kind of started my career in 2011 and where my career is now is very short. And so I've been able to accelerate my career much more quickly. So I'm kind of feel like I've caught up to some of my peers who started their careers right out the gate as soon as they finished their bachelor's degree. So I guess the kind of takeaway, the lesson in all of this is kind of a simple one. Number one, do all the things. Take as many classes as you want. Try as many degree programs as you want. If you finish one degree program and you're still not sure what you want to do, try another degree program. Don't lock yourself into something too early. There's no wisdom in that if you haven't figured out exactly what it is that you want to do. And don't compare yourself to others, because you're going to look at others and you're going to be like, wow, I am really far behind. And I was even thinking of this myself in 2011 when I started a career in academia. I was like, wow, I am way behind some of my colleagues who had started their careers back in 2001. Don't worry about that. Once you find your spot, once you find your place, and in some ways I still haven't found my place, but that's all right. Once you find your place, the time between when you find it and where you start to advance is going to go by extremely quickly. So your career will accelerate and you will catch up and maybe exceed some of your peers who started off in a place that they just focused on that one thing. So do all the things, do a variety of things, study a variety of things, take a lot of different jobs, try a lot of different jobs out. You never know what's going to resonate with you. And what you think might work for you doesn't always play out. And so you might think, oh, the most amazing job that I could imagine would be working at a desk and programming software every day, all day. You might find out that actually you hate that, or it's just maybe not the right fit for you. And you might find that actually what I really want to do is make donuts or go take people on tours of medieval castles. That might be your thing. So you will never know that if you don't try a lot of different things out and see what resonates, what works for you and what doesn't. My call to action here is I want you to change the way you think about your goals. So a lot of people make goals in the new year and they say, oh, I want to achieve this and I want to achieve that, or they do these New Year's resolutions. I don't want you to do a New Year's resolution. What I want you to do, either in the new year or now for the rest of this year, think about what are the top 5 things that you want to learn. What are the top 5 things that you want to learn how to do?